time of the day, you will feel different when you do this thing. You might think, oh, I'm really tight on one side. And I just want you to appreciate that this is absolutely normal, that some days your balance will be great, some days your balance will be rubbish. This morning it might be good, this afternoon it might be rubbish. You might feel tight, other days you might feel really quite loose. So it's about you starting to find out what's normal for you, or what's normal for you today. That's the point I'm trying to make. So without going on too much about that right now, just we're going to stay seated, but I want you to adjust your seat and put your legs in a different position. If you've had them crossed, maybe stretch them out in front of you. And we're going to find our upright seat here and see how it feels different. So once again, I'm just going to turn sideways for illustration. So we want to be where we are. We're not kind of like this, but we are relaxed and yet upright and purposeful in our posture. So imagining we've got that orange tucked under our chin, and just bringing the focus to the spine here, seeing how it feels while we're sitting here. Noticing whether you actually feel more uncomfortable with your legs outstretched than you did before. Let the feet be quite passive here and be relaxed, give them a bit of a wiggle. Now bring the soles of the feet together. Now, Ali, I know you were sitting like this anyway, but you might want to play with the distance of your feet to the body, perhaps either having them in very close. It depends how open your hips are and how low to the ground. So we're just exploring at the moment. If it's more comfortable to have your feet further away, you'll find a place where it's easier or less easy to sit. Seeing how this feels. Now, I'm going to invite some comment from you. Do any of you feel really tight in your hips sitting like this? Can I see a display of hands if you feel tight in your hips? Okay. A little bit tight from Hannah. Emma, you're all right sitting like this, are you?
Mine's in my back. I've got a lot of tension in my back.
Okay, in that case, you might want to prop yourself against it. Just try adjusting your position and find where it feels less uncomfortable for your back. Ordinarily, especially if we spend a lot of our life at the desk, we have issues with our hip flexors here, which are the joints, the tendons that link the thigh to the rest of the body. We get very tight here. If you do any running, cycling, you will also you tend to be quite tight in the hip flexors. So this is what I'm trying to establish at the moment. Now, although it looks as though we are doing stuff with our knees here, about how low to the ground can our knees go, it's actually how far are our hips opening. And this is nothing to do with, oh, if I practice every day, I'll get really good at this. Some of this will be genetic privilege. You need to understand that. Some people are just engineered like this. I'm one of those people. I have hypermobile joints, which is not the blessing it would seem. I have a lot of instability in my joints, so I need to protect them. So just because I can do this doesn't mean that I've become really good, but I'm just trying to find out where you're carrying tension so we know where to work. Okay? So now that we've established that, what I want you to do is I'm going to invite you all to come and lay down on your mats. Now, I don't necessarily need to see all of your body, but I'd like to see roughly that you haven't left the room or gone to get yourself a coffee. So just slowly and carefully lowering yourself down to the floor. With no cushions, pillows, nothing on the mat at all, just come to lay down. And first of all, just stretch your legs away, let your ankles roll out. Have a little wriggle from one side of the pelvis to the other, and upturn the palms, and just notice how you feel when we're laying here, which parts of the mat are meeting the floor. So especially noticing if the back of your spine meets the floor, whether or not you've got a natural curve there. Some of us will have quite a gap underneath our backs. And then bring your attention to your shoulders here and really have a little moment of playing with them. Try and squeeze the shoulders together just for a moment and then totally relax them. Let them spread, be wide, and turn your palms to face up. This externally rotates your shoulders and allows them to drop just a little. Lovely. So just laying here, Kieran, just tuck your chin slightly. That will bring a little bit of length. That's better. That has just flattened your cervical spine a bit more. It's brought it in line with the rest of your spine. So just, Caroline, have you got your knees up because that makes it more comfortable for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to get them down.
No, don't, because leave them up. Everybody else, just take a moment, bring both soles of the feet up to the mat so your knees are bent, and see if that makes lying here more comfortable.
Yeah.
So just noticing whether or not that's a more comfortable position for you. We're finding out about you today, basically. And now, from this position, creep the soles of your feet to either edge of your mat. So feel for the edge of the mat with your feet, and then let your knees gently knock towards each other, seeing if that feels comfortable. For some of you, it might feel wretchedly uncomfortable, in which case just creep the feet a little bit further forward, and finding where is the most comfortable place for you to lay on your back with your knees, with your feet on the ground, because this position is actually called constructive rest. So sometimes if we've been doing a lot of work on some postures that have been hard work, we need to take a little break, and this is a great position to come back to, and it's good for you to know your version of constructive rest. So if it's the feet at the side of the edges of the mat with the knees in, that's all well and good. If you'd rather just have your knees gently bent and up, that's also fine. So it's finding what's most comfortable for you. If you're comfortable with your legs outstretched, then take that version again. Let's outstretch the legs. This is called Savasana, or corpse pose, for an obvious reason. At the end of the practice, we always end a yoga practice with Savasana, and it's the opportunity for the body to assimilate the work we've been doing. Caroline, if you really find this uncomfortable, you might find it easier with something underneath your knees that just takes a little bit of tension out of your lower back.
A bit easier now. It's a bit
good.
easier.
Okay, so it's just going to take a while to get there then. Emma, how's your lower back like this?
Yeah, it's okay. It is more comfortable with my knees up, but I can feel like tension in my lower back. But
cool. Well, you might want to try and play by putting something underneath your knees when we're laying like this.
Yeah, I mean, I can do it. It's just a little bit uncomfortable.
Right. What I want you all to appreciate is, it's not about whether you can achieve the shape. It's where do you find the most comfort? That's what we're always going for. How can we achieve the benefit of this posture with the most comfort? And if that means you having your knees up, then that's the option you go for, okay? We're not after the shape of the pose at all costs. We're looking for how can we make this work for your body. So the purpose of Shavasana is just to let everything go, let everything be completely passive. So it's how can you achieve that? And if you need something under your back or your knees, then that's what you need to do. So taking your most comfortable version of laying down now, whether it be knees up, legs away, let's just get ourselves into that position. And I want you to upturn the palm of your left hand, and I want your right palm to come to your belly. And just shutting the eyes now for a moment. I want you to start bringing your awareness to your breath. But I want your breath to be moving your belly. Now, so often, particularly for we women, we have lived a lifetime of holding our tummies in, trying to be more upright, feel a little bit more in control of our tummy area. In yoga, we want to completely let it go. So let go of any tension in your belly whatsoever. And I just want you to bring your awareness to the breath in the belly. So if you were to watch a baby sleeping now, or a puppy, or any animal, you would see their little bellies rise and fall. And I want you to have your awareness on the rise and fall of your belly. So just for a few breaths now, just being aware of the hand on your belly being moved by the breath. So not doing anything special with the breath, but just making sure that you are breathing deeply enough for the diaphragm actually to be moved. Often when we're living, we're having a stressful day, we breathe just into the upper part of our chest, and the breath never really gets down to where it should do. Now, obviously, the breath isn't actually filling the belly. What's happening is that the breath is getting into the lowest parts of the lungs. The diaphragm is moving out of the way to accommodate the breath, and it makes the belly rise or stick out. So that's what we're looking for at the moment. We're just keeping our attention on the belly rising and falling. Now perhaps bringing your right hand to the right hand side of the ribs. Let's shift the awareness from the breath in the belly to noticing the movement of the ribs as we breathe. So just laying here and breathing. Perhaps you can feel the flaring of the rib cage. Perhaps you can't feel much movement, but try and visualize the rib cage expanding and contracting with every breath. All those little intercostal muscles stretching and then releasing with each breath. Perhaps you're aware of the ribs moving into the side body area. Or perhaps you're more aware of the back of the rib cage where it's being supported by the mat. But just having your awareness of the breath in the ribs at the moment. And now let's bring the awareness of the breath to the collarbone region. It might seem a bit odd, me telling you to do that, but imagine where your collarbones are. Your hand can stay on your belly or put it anywhere where it's comfy. But visualize your collarbones in your body and just taking a slightly deeper breath. You might suddenly be aware of where your neck muscles engage. This is the very tops of your lungs being filled with air. So we're not often conscious of this, but try and really bring visualization if you can't feel it. So take a nice deep breath. And imagine the very tops of the lungs, which are nestled just beneath those collarbones. Imagine them being filled with air. And then release and let it go. So what we've just been exploring is the 3-part yogic breath. So as we inhale, you might feel the air coming in cool through the nostrils, and then the belly rises, and then the side body expands, and then the very tops of the lungs fill just beneath the collarbones. So that's the 3 parts of the breath. So we'll often talk about this. If we're breathing efficiently, we're breathing into those 3 areas. So if at any point in your day you start feeling a little bit tense, if you can bring yourself back to the 3-part breath, you might have noticed already that your breath has slowed down a little bit from when we first arrived on our mats this morning, and we're starting to have a sense of calm about what's going on. So by bringing our attention and harnessing our mind, if you like, and bringing it to focus on what's happening to the breath, things start to calm down. So very slowly and carefully, I want you to roll onto one side now, just really taking your time, because in yoga, we're asking a lot of our bodies, and if we're being true to ourselves, we're letting our bodies kind of tune into what's happening, and we want to transition between these movements quite carefully and mindfully, and slowly bring yourself up to a seat again. So we've had a little look about what's happening with the breath. So that's a little bit of homework for you this week, is to find out what makes you feel most comfortable and how you feel most comfortable when you're laying down, when you're sitting up. And to bring your awareness to these three parts of the elements of breathing. You might realize now how much breath just happens around here during our day. And if we can bring our attention so that the breath actually works in the belly, and then in the rib area, and then in this part in particular, we're just bringing a bit more awareness to the mechanics of this amazing orchestra that's going on within our bodies. And the breath is something we can always return to during our day. So it's a really good reset point. So from here, right, we're going to do some yoga now. Even though we've been doing yoga, we've been doing some very important yoga. We're going to do some actual physical asana, because I know that's what you want to do. So we're going to leap straight into handstand and get on with that. I'm joking, we're not at all. We're not at all, but we will get there. So every week when we practice, I'm going to try and cover all the things that we can do. We're going to do a little bit of standing, a little bit of balancing, don't panic, a little bit of twisting, a little bit of forward folding, a little bit of back bending, don't panic, a little bit of seated stuff, some laying down stuff, and some all four stuff. And that covers pretty much everything that our body does, because what I really want to be able to help you guys do is to find your optimum movement for your body. I want it to be able to move in every way that it's designed to move. And I want you to find out where you're currently limited and what's currently accessible to you, because that's all we ever have to work with. We might think, oh, you know, I can't wait till I can do the splits. If you can't do the splits today, then we're not going to work on that. We're going to work on what you can do today. So we're going to come to all fours. Now, if you've got knobbly knees, or if your knee joints are stiff, or if it's not comfortable for you and already you're thinking, I don't think I'm going to like that, get a blanket or something and pad your knees. Again, it's this allowance of where your body's at, how are you going to feel most comfortable doing what you're doing. And I want you to feel comfy. So when we come into an all fours position, we want to have our wrists directly underneath our shoulders so that we are weight bearing into the most secure structure that we can find here. And always when we are on our hands want to look like this. They want to look like starfish. We want to be able to weight bear into every single finger that we have here. So gently just bringing yourself into that position. Feet and knees want to be about hip width apart. And again, we want a direct line of our knees being directly underneath our hips. So we've got a nice stable structure. And we want to be looking down between our hands. So that's our setup in a neutral structure. So I'm just going to have a little look at you and see what you look like. Lovely stuff. So while we're here in this nice neutral structure, bring your awareness to your spine. And just think about, does it feel nice and long? Does it feel, you know, how do I feel here? And let's start to explore. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start to drop our belly down and bring our chin up. So we're almost, if you like, we're raising our hips up so that we get this natural dip in our back. So you might feel a strong stretch in your front body here, which is what you should be feeling. You should be feeling a stretch. So we're sending our hips up high. We're sticking our bums out, if you like. And we are looking forward with our chin slightly up. Now from here, we're going to reverse this. So very slowly, bring your chin right in until it touches your chest. And while we're doing that, I want you to push the ground away from you so that we're really doming between those shoulder blades. Really actively push into every fingertip here. Push, 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 push. The tops of the feet are pushing into the top of the mat. So although this looks like quite a passive structure, Just going to have a quick look. Beautiful. So really, Ali, really round into you've still got quite a little dip in your lower back. I want you to imagine you're an angry cat here. So we're pushing very actively into the ground, creating lots of space between the shoulders, and then come back to neutral and just take a moment there. Could you feel the difference between those two positions?
Yeah.
Good. So what I want you to do here, we're going to move at our own pace. We're going to go, so this little set of movements, these two positions are called cat and cow. So cat is when we're in this arched back position, we're very active in the shoulders, lots of space between the shoulder blades. And then as we start to drop our belly and bring our chins forward, this is cow. I don't know what, I've never seen a cow look like this, but it's called cow. Again, we want to be nice and strong and firm in our arms. They're straight, they're pushing the ground away. Hips are sent back. Imagine the length in your spine here. And then let's go the other way. So in your own time, nice and slowly, because I want you to tune into what's actually happening. I want you to try and visualize the movement of your vertebrae as you're doing this. So gently cycle between the two movements. And I'm just going to have a little look. That looks lovely. Good. Be kind to yourselves always. Think about what your body has to put up with every day. And this is the opportunity to really tune into what's going on. So really nice and active. That's beautiful, Hannah. Lovely arching of the spine there. Lovely doming of the shoulders there, Emma. Well done. Excellent, Caroline. Get that chin nice and forward so you really lengthen in the front body. Kieran, when you're in cat position, really tuck your chin into your chest, really round down. Let's find the beautiful. Ali, for you, as you come, can you look on for a second, Ali? I just want to show you what's happening. Your back looks really great, but when you're coming into cat here, you're pushing back slightly. Leave this part absolutely stable. So it's only the rib cage that's moving. So we're isolating what's happening in the ribs and the upper part of the spine. Stay stable. So it's not wrong, it's just not what we want to do at this moment. You're a step ahead.
Sorry.
5 minutes. So just back to where you were. Take a break, guys. Whenever you feel you need to take a break, if your wrists hurt, you just take a break. So let's just take a couple more rounds of breath doing this. And in fact, think about your breath while you're doing this. I hope none of you are holding your breath. This is what we tend to do when we're learning something new. We hold our breath, try and concentrate. Make this your last cow and then your last cat. And then come to neutral. And from your neutral position, all I want you to do is send your hips back towards your heels. So leave your hands exactly where they are. And we're just pushing our body weight back until we're seeing, first of all, if your bum can go back to your heels. Some of you will be able to do it, some of you won't. If you don't find this position comfortable, if you can't get your bum on your heels, grab a blanket or a cushion or anything and bridge that gap. If it's your knees that are troubling you, is anyone having a problem with their knees?
Me.
Ali, do you need to pad them a bit more? Maybe if you kneel on your cushion, Ali.
Right.
I'm going to do that as well.
Yeah, do. Honestly, every time, take it as read that you need to find your most comfortable version of this. And Kieran, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm using mat cushions and stuff.
Yeah. Anything. I mean, once we've established what your bodies can do, you'll know next week what you're likely to need for when we do certain things. So we're pushing ourselves back. So this is called child's pose. It's called extended child's pose. So we want to, now that we've found our most comfortable way of doing this as far as the back body is concerned, let's bring our attention to the front body. And looking directly down at the mat, I want you to actively push into your fingertips so that this becomes a very active pose in your shoulders. from your armpits to your shoulders. Can you all feel that? If you're pushing the mat away.
Yeah.
Let me have a little look. Beautiful shape. So hopefully you can feel here that what we're trying to do, again, we're after extension in the spine. So we're sending our hips back. We're looking directly down. So the cervical spine or the neck is nice and long. And we've got that lovely engagement by pressing away into the fingertips. We're really long in the arms and in the side body. It's possible you can feel the stretch all the way from your hips. And then let's just take a break. Bring your hands back in towards the body. Take a break, maybe come off your bum, do whatever you need to do. It's the first time we've been practicing these crazy moves, so you might need to just take a break for a minute. Was everyone all right doing that? Could you feel where we were trying to feel into? So we were after a really full engagement of the shoulders here, stretching away actively into the fingertips, lots of length here, just to find some length in our spine. So that's what we were trying to do there. But did you all get a sense that that's where we were going with that?
Yeah.
Good. Anybody struggle with elements of that we didn't address? Good.
I'm just mindful of my knee, but actually I'm surprised I managed to do it. So.
Oh, well done. Well, again, it's about finding out how you're going to make this work for you, because we're all engineered slightly differently. And if by doing it on a cushion makes it work for you, then that's perfect. Now, the thing about child's pose is, if ever we're doing anything and you think, do you know what, I've had enough of this, come back to child's pose. It's your resting pose. You will never, ever be called out in any yoga class anywhere if you suddenly take child's pose. Every teacher will know that you are taking a break, you're taking a rest, you're listening to your body and doing exactly what it says to you. Now, that might not be your favorite place to lay. You might prefer to go into Savasana, but that is a restorative pose. The other version of child's pose, this is extended. I need to tell you about it. This is traditional child's pose, where your forehead is on the mat, your hands are behind your feet, and your shoulder blades are just heavy and weighted into the ground. Now, I appreciate for everybody, particularly if you've got a tummy or you've got big boobs, it might not be comfortable to be constricted in that position. So again, it's about making it work for you. You might find that it's more comfortable. In fact, everybody might like to try this. Bring your big toes together and send your knees as wide as the mat. So a bit of a crazy position to get yourself in. So I'll look at you face on. So my big toes are together, my knees are wide, and then we're going to come down to the mat that way. Does that feel a bit more comfortable for you? Is that more accessible? It's about finding, So if that's your version of child's pose, if that feels yummy to you, that's what we want. We want to find a position where you think, oh, thank goodness I'm in this position. I can hang out here for a few rounds of breath and all is well in the world again. Okay, so bringing yourself back up now. We're just exploring today, so you've had a little look at which version of child's pose might work best for you. What we're going to do now, we're going to look at some balance. So very slowly and mindfully, I want you to come to standing. We might need to adjust some gadgets here. I'm just going to adjust my camera very slightly so you can see. Yeah, I think I'm all in there. Perfect. So coming to standing. Right, the first thing we want to do is bring our feet hip width apart. Now, I know with most of you girls, I'm going to have to say your hips aren't that wide. And I'm going to give you a little top tip of how to check how wide your hips are. If you just have a little jump into the air, where you land is generally, not many people land like that. You will tend to land where your feet are. So we're going to stand with feet hip width apart. I can't think what I'm saying here. Feet are parallel, so we're not standing with our feet turned out. We've got our toes tracking towards the long edge of our mat. And I want you to start bringing your weight into your toes. So just start pitching forward slightly, looking ahead. So I think you've all got bare feet. I teach a barefoot practice for a very valid reason. We get a lot of feedback through our feet. And when you wear socks, sometimes it's a bit like trying to listen to someone with earmuffs on. That's what I liken it to. So take your weight back into your heels now. So let's find a sense of balance as we're going forward and back. Each foot has 26 bones in it, and they're all absolutely crucial for our balance. But the most crucial bone for our balance, or bones, are in our big toes. So you'll come to realise this when we come to balance, the importance of the big toe. Now coming to stillness, lift all the toes off the mat, and you'll feel, you might be aware of which leg muscles have become involved in this. You might feel that your calves are tensed up. And now, one at a time, starting from the outer edge, start laying them back down. It's almost like playing the piano. It's weird. I want you to cycle through, just picking up and laying your toes down. And then coming to the inner arches of your feet. And let's just roll to the outer arches of the feet. And again, thinking about which leg muscles are working while we're doing this. You know that song? The thigh bone's connected to your hip bone. That's all true. Everything's all connected, and you can feel the connections through the body. And then coming to stillness.
Gabby?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can feel a bone clicking in my foot when I do it.
Clicking?
Yeah.
Is there pain?
No, it's just clicking.
Welcome to old age. As long as there's no pain. Do you know what? The body will make some weird sounds. It will. I have got one clunky shoulder. It only clunks in one direction. In the other direction, it doesn't do it. It's just, you will find out whether that's always going to be there for you or whether it's just today. As long as it doesn't hurt, nothing we do should ever hurt. So please let me know. You know, put your hands up and let me know if something is painful. We'll find a way to work around it. But so now that we have had a little play with our feet, looking directly ahead, let's think about our hips and just tuck your pelvis slightly. So sort of scoop your bum under or your tailbone under and get the sense that your hips are over your ankles. So we're just kind of feeling our way into this. I don't want to be looking down all the time, and I don't want you to always be certainly not checking sideways at what I'm doing. Try and listen to what your body's saying as well as what I'm saying. So imagine that your hip bones are above your ankles here now. And now let's take our attention to our shoulders and just squeeze the shoulders up, round, back and down. And imagine that they are over your hips. Just let your hands very softly face the front, which means that we've got an external rotation in our shoulders here. And actively reach down towards the ground so that we've got a bit of intention. Again, this seems like a really passive thing to do. We're just standing here. No, we're standing here actually with quite a lot of intention. And then think about the position of your chin, that orange tucked under there, and see if you can grow any from the crown of your head. Imagine the distance between your tail and your crown has just grown by a couple of centimeters. Reach away strong into your fingertips. Really tune into all 10 toes. Don't grip really hard, but have a sense of that we are holding ourselves balanced here. This is called Tadasana, or mountain pose. And what I invite you to do now is just shut your eyes. Just honestly, we're only going to be here for a few breaths, but I want you to get the sense that of how little we stand in complete stillness. We're natural fidgets, and I want you to feel what it feels like and how much is actually going on. Perhaps you're suddenly aware that even though we're planted firmly on 2 feet, we're balancing here. Tune into your breath. Where are you breathing? Just noticing, there's no right or wrong. See where you're breathing. Is your breath going into the belly, or are you a bit anxious about this? Just having an awareness of what your body's doing. And then slowly open your eyes again. Maybe that was a bit weird. And totally relaxing, just having a fidget in your fingers if you need to. And either bringing your hands to your hips or wherever you feel they might be handy. You might end up with your fingertip against a wall, but let's see first. Let's bring all our attention and weight into our left foot. And let's slowly bend into the right knee and just having the toes of the right foot on the mat. Make sure you haven't pitched into this left hip. So again, we want to find our lift and length, so we're nice and strong and tall here. And
Sorry, Gabby, could you explain that again? I missed that.
Yeah, sure. We're taking our weight and our focus into our left foot.
Yeah.
Very slowly, we're bending into the right leg, just so that we're starting to build some tension in the left leg. This is going to be the leg that's doing all the work. So we're on our toes. We haven't taken our foot off the floor yet. We're just seeing how this feels. Make sure that you haven't pitched into the left hip. So we want to be tall. And then see if you can just bring that knee up a tad, just so we're lifting the toes off the ground. Just see how we're at. So find something to look at that's at your eye level directly in front. And let's just see how this balance feels right now. So we've got our toes off the floor. In fact, let's circle into the ankle on the right hand side. And then back the other way. So perhaps by now you're noticing that there's some heat building in the standing leg. If you're able, raise the knee a little higher. And let's flex into the foot and then point. Flex and point. Flex and point. And very slowly and with control, let's place that foot down. Ooh, are we all aware of this leg having started to do some work? Have we woken up our left leg? That feel all right for everyone?
Yeah.
Good. Right, we're going to do the same on the right hand side. So, awareness and intention and weight into right leg and foot. Nice and tall as we start to take the weight out of the left foot. So we're on the toes of the left foot. You might find it easier with your arms out like this. Just play about with it. And keeping your gaze ahead. We call this in yoga, we call it a drishti. It's a focus point. And it's really important that it's at your eye level, because if you look down, that's where you're headed. It's a bit like riding a bike. You don't look at the pedals or you'd be off. So just lifting the toes. If they only need to come off the ground a centimetre, that's good enough. You might find that your balance is less good on this leg. So the standing leg is straight. If you're wobbly already, just place the big toe on the mat. See where you're at. If you're really wobbly, put the fingertip against a wall. It's not cheating, because the purpose of this is to strengthen the standing leg and to get our body used to actually coping quite well just on one side. So it's just a fingertip. We're not kind of leaning and laying into the wall here. We're just using it for as little help as we need to do. If you're really quite comfortable and balanced in this position, then maybe bring the knee up. Entirely up to you. And then slowly let's lower it down. Ooh, and just walk both feet out. Did you get a sense of where we were going with that? Was anyone really struggling with their balance? No?
Yeah, on my dodgy knee side.
Oh, okay, right, so that's interesting to know. So maybe next time it might be good for you to line yourself as you did with the wall, or have a chair or something, or you might want to practice this when you're boiling the kettle, hold on to the worktop, and just get used to, what we're trying to do is strengthen independently one leg and then the other leg and what have you. Yeah. So, right, we're going to come back down again. I can't believe how fast time is ticking away. Is everyone okay for time if we run over by 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Can I give you another 10 minutes? Is that all right? Does anybody need or want to dash off right now?
No.
No.
Honestly, next time I will keep it very tightly to time, but you know, we did faff about a bit at the beginning with tech and whatnot, didn't we? So coming to our seated position now. Right, so we just did a standing balance. I'm looking at what I want to cover with you today. I know what we want to do. We are going to, if you can pop yourself on whatever was comfortable for you in your, if you're able to sit in some version of cross-legged, that would be good. If it's not available to you, sit how is comfortable. So once again, we're going to bring our attention to our posture. Nice and long. Think about the space between each and every vertebra here. Let your hands just be soft. And let's bring our left hand next to our left hip. Maybe it's on the mat, maybe it isn't. I don't want you to pitch into it. Just have your fingertips heading towards the mat. Sitting nice and tall, let's take our right arm straight up. So when I say we're going to reach up with the right arm, I want your fingertips to be active. So elbows are in facing towards our ear. Fingertips are stretching directly up towards the ceiling. We're looking ahead. Now, everybody over-exaggerate this. Bring your shoulder right up by your ear and then let it slide down. So we're sitting here within intention. We're not wearing our shoulder blades. And then from here, very slowly and carefully, being very heavy in the right hip, I want you to just take a little bend over towards the left. So you might need to bend into the left elbow here. What I want you to feel is the creation of space between the right hip and the right armpit. Really stretching away actively with our fingers. So arms are straight. Are you okay there, Caroline? Your elbow looks a little bit bent. So we want to be as straight as we can be. If it means you need to come back a bit, then come back a bit. Caroline, just look at me for a second. The most important thing is to have your elbow next to your ear. That's it. And then from there, it's just a very slight, we're just creating space between here. That's it. Lovely. Beautiful. Kieran, turn your hand so that it's facing down towards the floor. That's it. Now straighten the arm if you can. That's it. And then let the body do the work. So it's not about the arm trying to get down. The arm is stretched away. We're reaching away. And really the biggest feeling I want you to have is opening of the ribs on the right-hand side. Once you've achieved that, we've got to where we're going. So taking some nice breaths here and then slowly back to center. And let's take that arm down. That's probably feeling a bit tired by now. Super. So bringing yourself back to your nice upright seat, lots of length in the spine. Let's reach up with the opposite arm. Right hand comes down next to the right hip. And let's slowly just pitch sideways. It might be a tiny movement for you. You know, this is the first time we're exploring this. I do this every single day. So my shape's going to look a little different to yours. But we just want the ribs here, the muscles between the ribs to get a bit of an airing. What's going on here today? How do we feel when we do this? Fingertips are active and stretched away. And let's come back to center and bring the arm down. This time, we're going to take the right hand to the left knee. We're going to take the left hand behind our bums. If you're sitting on something, use the hand to just allow a little more elevation here. So really lift yourself up tall. So we've got the right hand on the left knee. We're nice and tall. Now bring your attention to your left shoulder and pull that left shoulder back just a little. This isn't how far can you go. It's actually how little do I need to do to make this work. So we're starting to peel the left shoulder back, and only then when we have the lift and the length and the turn in that shoulder, we can start to look towards the left-hand side over the shoulder. So this is a tiny twist from the rib cage. That's all we've moved is our rib cage. We don't want to hoik our head and neck round like this. It's a small and subtle movement where both our hips are weighted down and we're having a twist. So just looking over the shoulder here. And then slowly let's come back to center. Just recalibrate. Take a moment here. Bring your attention back to your posture. And let's take opposite hand to knee. So we always set ourselves up first. Lift and length before you go anywhere. Peel the back shoulder back a little. And then take the head and neck for a little look. See how we're doing. Make sure you're still breathing. You're not holding your breath here. I know what you're all like. I know what it's like when we're learning. And then slowly back to center. Well done. Could you all feel what we were after there? We're getting a nice little twist from our rib cage. Now, however you are seated, let's sit nice and tall and just creep the fingertips forward. So what we're doing here, I still want you to imagine how much length you've got in your spine. So without calling you out, Ali, but you're doing absolutely what I was about to demonstrate, make sure that you haven't got closer to the ground. We still want to be really tall, and the only thing that's changing is the angle between our bodies and our thighs. So we're still staying upright, but it's our hands, we're kind of trying to get away from our bodies, if you like. So we're not bringing ourselves closer to our hands. We're pushing away actively from the fingertips, but we've walked them forward a little bit. So you might feel very, very long in the body now. You might feel quite active in the shoulders. Try and release any tension in the hips here. Just think about how you're feeling. Bring the attention in. And on the next out breath, let's see if we can go a little bit further forward without losing any length in the spine. The minute you've started to take this shape, let's come back a bit until we were upright. We want to be upright. That's what we want to feel. Tune in with your breath. And then let's walk the hands back. Ooh, take a little break there. If, like me, you were sitting cross-legged, you need to swap your legs over now. And this is when you notice you've got a favourite leg. You will always put your favourite leg in front first. And this will be a lot less easy to do on this side. So again, we want to lift and lengthen and just creep the fingertips forward without losing any length in the spine. So already you might feel a lot tighter in the hips here. Just noticing how this feels. Release any tension that's not required. So just have a little tune in and see if you can relax your feet, your knees and your thighs and your jaw. And let's see if we can find another centimetre. That's all. We're not going to go any further than that. Really bring your attention to your length of your spine, kind of looking down diagonally, just beyond the mat. And then bring the fingertips up. And let's shake those legs out, give them a pat on the mat. And let's lift ourselves off the block. We're really going to have to bring ourselves down now because time is going so quickly. Slowly, mindfully and carefully, just lower yourselves to the mat and bring yourself to your version of Savasana that we talked about earlier. And before we come to complete stillness, in fact, if everyone can take their left leg away long and have their right knee bent, and can you all bring your right knee towards your body? Let's just see where we get to in this shape. See if you can let gravity help your leg be heavy here. Maybe you need to hold around the shin. Just seeing how it feels having the body stretched in this way. So the left leg is stretched away long, right leg is in towards the body. And then let's slowly and carefully rest that leg away long and bring the left knee in towards the body and see how that feels. So we're not really doing anything here, we're just seeing how the shapes feel, where we meet tension, where we're creating a bit of space. And then very slowly and carefully, let's place that leg away. Or having your knees bent, whichever version you want to take for Savasana. We're going to be here for quite a few rounds of breath, so I want you to be very comfortable. If you want a cushion under your knees, that's absolutely fine. And upturn your palms so they're facing the ceiling. Let's lift and lower and really let the shoulder blades spread here. Tuck the spine in towards the chin very slightly, feel the length in the back of the spine. And let's let the eyes softly close here. And bring your attention back to your breath. Let's think about the three-part breath, where the belly's being moved. And we have awareness in the side body and the ribs. And then at the very tops of our lungs. And now let's have a little scan through the body. Let's think about where we might be holding tension. So thinking about the forehead, unfurrowing the brow, letting the eyelids be heavy, releasing the jaw, parting the teeth, and letting the tongue gently rest behind the teeth. Thinking about your shoulders weighing heavy into the mat. Thinking about the back body and where it's touching the surface beneath. Think about all parts of your body that are being supported by the earth beneath you. The buttocks, backs of your legs, backs of the calves, the heels, backs of the hands, the forearms, the elbows, shoulders. And then thinking about the front body, chest, the soft belly, the hips, the thighs, knees, shins, ankles, tops of the feet. Think about all 10 toes, the soles of the feet. Let's think about shins and the soft kneecaps, or the kneecaps softening, and the thighs. Think about the buttocks, the back of the sacrum, behind the hips, and then all the way up the back body to the back of the head. Let's softly just roll the head from one side to the other. We're just gently giving our neck a little stretch here. One side to the other. And then coming to stillness once more. And just taking a moment here to see how we feel. We've brought our attention inwards. Really tune in to what sensations you're aware of here. Then slowly bringing some movement to your fingers and toes, so giving your toes a little wiggle. Perhaps running your fingertips over your thumbs here. Then bring one foot in towards the body and then the other, so you've got both knees bent. And unless you have low blood pressure, can you all roll onto your right hand side? If you have low blood pressure, come onto your left. So maybe outstretching the right arm to cradle your head. I'm going to take a few breaths here just to let the blood pressure equalise. And then very slowly and carefully bringing yourself back up to seated. So just take your time to get here. We're not going to stay here for more than a couple of breaths, so don't worry about pillows, cushions, props, all the rest of it. Just sit however you can sit. Let's close the eyes for a moment and joining the hands together at our heart center. Just apply a little bit of pressure between the palms. And let's take our foreheads down towards the fingertips so we feel a lovely stretch in the back of the spine here. And let's just take this moment of acknowledgement for the time that we've set aside. We've made this decision to set aside some time for ourselves and to come to know ourselves a bit better, to explore what's going on within. And hopefully during what has felt like such a brief practice this morning, you've had a couple of opportunities to appreciate how truly amazing your bodies are. Namaste.
Namaste.
Oh. Thank you, everybody. How are you feeling? That really felt like a whistle-stop tour. And I'm sorry if it felt rushed to you, but there's so much to cover. You all feel okay?
Yes.
I love it, yeah.
Yes.
Good. Let me tell you briefly, if you've got a couple more minutes, if you need to go, please go. We've already overrun by 15 minutes. When we say namaste, either a beginning of a practice or at the end of the practice, what the word actually means is a bit of a blessing. It's not religious, but it is spiritual. And it's an acknowledgement for what it actually means is I honour the light in you. So as a teacher, I get as much from a student as I hope the student gets from me. So if you return that greeting, we're acknowledging what we're exchanging between us. It's really lovely. I love Namaste. It's such a nice thing to say. And so that's why we say it. It's not just a, yeah, see ya. It's a moment of gratitude and saying thank you to what's passed between us both individually and collectively. So I thought I'd explain what that meant. Has anyone got any questions or observations they'd like to make about, how they found today? Obviously we can have a chit chat via WhatsApp as well, and I'll share some ideas and things, but if there's something you want to say or ask now, it's a good time.
I think I find my lower back a bit of a problem with the sitting cross-legged. That was hard. My lower back aches.
Right, well, the simple answer for you will be, Caroline, that you don't have to sit cross-legged, so that's not something we need.
Yeah, I realise that. Yeah.
So so your homework this week is to find a position in which you can adopt this posture without the cross-legged uncomfortableness. So maybe you need to practice sitting against a wall, or having something underneath your hips, or having your legs like this. So that's your homework, to find where you can find that posture without the compromise, if you like, if that makes sense.
But it was lovely. Thank you.
Oh, good. No, you're welcome. You're welcome. Anyone else have problems with their lower back? Emma?
Yeah, I mean, it does hurt. I can fit, but it's not like really painful. It's just a bit of tension.
I don't want it to hurt at all. I don't want it to hurt at all. So like Caroline, I really encourage you to find you're comfortable. It might just be that your body's not used to sitting properly.
No.
So even when we're standing, we can help that just by thinking about all the space between the vertebrae. Imagine them all, lined up there. Imagine the space that you can create, because so often we sit in this compressed sort of situation. So
yeah, it's not like it's just normal aches and pains, it's just because I haven't done this for ages.
Yeah, there's that acknowledgement too, but we can, wherever we're at today, we can take steps to improve it and make it better, but acknowledging that where you are today is where you are today, and it might be different tomorrow. So
thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Fabulous.
I found that at the start and for the throughout, my mind kept trying to wander and tell a little story about something, either this or something else, but it got drowned out over the course of the hour, and it ended up being quite still.
Good.
Like
Good.
Zen.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. But this will happen, and it's good that you notice that. The noticing is the act of mindfulness, and we can't control our minds. Our minds, by their very nature, they want to do 1,000 things at once. They're multitaskers. But while we're in our yoga practice, if we can gently keep drawing it back to what we're feeling, how we are right now, then that's absolutely it. So that's good to feel that even during that our short time practicing together, that you were aware of what was happening. Anybody else got a monkey mind? Has anybody not got a monkey mind that I'm more interested in? Hannah, how was that for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was like nice stretching, and yeah. Good.
Well, we barely scratched the surface today, so I hope that any impatience you felt with that, will come a little understanding that, now that we've got the first one out of the way, next week we can launch straight into it, and we will have, we will move a little more fluidly between, we'll have a series of seated postures, then standing, then laying down, and what have you. So it will feel more structured. But today's a kind of getting to know us day, really, isn't it?
Yes.
And we all want to know what the weather's like in Spain, Gabby.
Okay.
Make us jealous.
I will. I'll make you jealous. I will show
Oh
you.
no.
Oh.
That's what it's looking like. It's pretty nice.
Oh.
I'm coming home soon. I'm coming home in April, so yes, I'm coming home in April. So I hope to be able to. Wouldn't it be fabulous if we could have a meet up? In fact, I need to tell you today. Let's get it out there. What should be our very last session, or the 6th of the session, I think is on the 17th of April. I will actually be travelling home. So can we can talk about this nearer the time, can we either do it either a couple of days before or move it on by a week? So, but we'll talk about that. The 17th, I'm travelling home. So I've done it, I've told you.
I've just got to tell you, on the 4th of April, it's my 40th birthday, and that's a Sunday.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm not going to say that I'm not going to have a drink the night before, but you just have to bear with me that morning.
As long as you make the practice, do you know what? It will be lovely if we can.
Yeah, we'll sing happy birthday.
Right, we'll have a birthday practice. Thanks for the heads up on that. I will think about that. No, good for you. You know, yoga isn't about, oh, I've got to give up this, and this. I've got to be this paragon of virtue. You know, we're here. We've already taken a stand on wanting to make improvements about how we choose to live our lives, and it's making it fit with everything else. So, you know, good. We'll all celebrate with you.
Yeah. I was told that hopefully I won't be doing the down dog position that day.
Right, okay. Down dog it is. Down dog it is. Down dog it is. We will come to down dog because it's everybody's favourite. Nobody feels like they've done yoga until they've done down dog or warrior for some reason. We'll perhaps get those out of the way next week. But if you guys have got any special requests about things that you'd like to work on, that you'd like to need to build into the practice as we go on, let me know. Particularly if you've had, I know 2 of you at least struggle with your lower back. I know that Ali's got a bit of an issue with her knee. Kieran's got a monkey mind. So we can work with all these things to address them specifically, but you know, if there's something that you particularly want to do, I always like to do a bit of shoulder and neck work, although we haven't done any today because everybody carries so much tension in their shoulders and neck. So yeah, we'll be working on that next week. But during the course of the week, I will put some info that you might find useful into WhatsApp interface group, Facebook group, and you know, hopefully we'll get a bit of banter going, and it's so nice to have you all together. I'm really pleased that you know, we've got to meet today. I've been ridiculously excited about doing this group. And the other thing I meant to tell you, in fact, I meant to ask you before we started, so apologies for not having sought your permission. I always record these lessons. So if you would like the recordings, they won't ever be available to anybody else. They're not public. I will happily send you the link. So if you want to watch through them, or if you want to think, what was she talking about today about that thing? And you might want to look back at them. So, you know, is everyone okay with me recording them? I promise they're not shared anywhere else.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I'll make sure you get them. And also in the place where I will get the link from, I edit them all in YouTube, but it's, you know, they're closed and private. But I do upload some videos that are for general consumption that you might want to look at some point. Some of them are just for breathing exercises. So, you know, they're sort of general interest, really. If you want to take a look, they're cunningly hidden under Gabby Thomas Yoga. So. And there's one very funny one where my dog insists on joining me. It ends up with me just laughing for about 5 minutes, I think, because he's right in my face. But anyway, I'm sure you've got Sundays to be getting on with, and I just thank you so much for all joining in and sharing your time and your energy, and I hope you get as much from it as I'm getting.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye for now.